Okay, so I went ahead and made a few preliminary sketches just here in my sketchbook. This is from the back, and I took a few photos as well. The photos are on Patreon, so if you guys want to check them out, they're downloadable, all of my reference photos. This is kind of in this angle, and this one is almost straight on. So I wanted to do this first. I always like taking photos and then doing sketches, even though I have the original with me, because I feel like this is going to wilt. In fact, it's been here only a few hours and it's already looking a little raggedy. Do you want in? Let me bring you some food. Hey, Jelly Bean. I feel like this way I'm able to really get to know this subject. So I've got my lights and my darks put in here, same with down here. And it just gives me a feel. It's just so much easier. Now when I go ahead and do my final sketch, I can roughly freehand it. Now, of course, the first thing is, which direction do I want it to go? Maybe something like in that kind of shape would be pretty. So let's see. Let's see. So if I now what you're seeing is different. So I've got an angle that's kind of like this. Of course, if I hold it like that, I can't sketch it. So I'm going to quickly sketch this out. Okay, so right in the center, we've got the stamen. You guys see what I'm doing? So that's going to come up here, and it kind of opens up into 5 little balls up here. Okay, and then off that, we've got lots of little pollen sticks. I'm just going to make up the names for now. Okay, and then down here, it's going to go maybe like this. We've got some foreshortening going on back there. It's not that deep. Then about the same spot is coming up. I don't really like how this is broken, so I might change it. This one is also going to go way over here. And there's some more broken stuff, so I'm going to kind of fix that. Now, before I continue, I don't want to make it lopsided, so I'm going to jump back to this side. And I do a lot of this jumping around when I'm sketching. And I'm going to, again, do some foreshortening, so just squish it. Come right across here in the middle. And up here, this is all bent over. And it really doesn't have to be perfect because I've already done my sketches. I already know that I can sketch it, I can draw it, it makes sense. So now I'm really just coming in for a rough so that I can put together. Now, I want to see a little bit of this petal and that petal here. And way down here, we've got a piece going up here. And we've got a piece, oops, which is actually that piece, but I'm going to do it that way. Okay. You don't need to put in a lot. And we've also got, oh yes, this piece. There. So there are five petals. That was a nut. We have a hickory tree right above my studio. My studio's got a tin roof, so when the hickories start falling, it makes such a ruckus. Now underneath, I'm not quite, considering how deep I made this, I'm not really going to be able to see the bottom, which is unfortunate because it's really pretty. So I'm just going to put in the tiny, tiny bit down here. It's got these beautiful little pieces. And Jelly Bean is still eating. Jelly Bean's gotten really big. Those won't be visible. But we'll fix that later. And we've got this. Some of this little stuff going on up there. And then there's an actual stem. Again, not super important. Down here, there's another stem. Also not super important. I'm not really thinking about my composition in this moment because I'm just doing a study, so it doesn't, in that sense, matter to me how the overall composition is. I do not like that. Yes, there we go. So let's just change that to be rounder. Little broken off piece is just going to confuse everyone. Okay, so what would be great is if I could kind of prop the flower up here. All right, for the part you guys have all been waiting for. Let's get out our brush. This is a Da Vinci Peach Gris Pure. It is a number 4. It is a mop brush. So I've got water here. I've got water here. I've got all my paints here and here, and I've got a palettes, 2 palettes. So actually, maybe I'll just clean off this palette. Now, oh, you know what? This is a pink, which seems kind of clear now that I've just said that. But because it's pink, I think I'm going to do some of the shadier parts blue to help with the shadows. So let's just drop them in. Remember to leave our whites white. This is the most important thing. There's going to be a white somewhere. So kind of work around your whites if that's possible. If I want a straighter line, I can put my brush straight. If I want a fatter line, I bring it a little more flat down. This inner core is all white with yellow, and these little guys up here are red, or pink, so I'm going to add a few blue dots to that. This would be actually really pretty if it's a blue flower. Okay. So this is a really light blue, very watered down. Now coming back with a little bit of wet brush, I just want to move some of this around. Take some of that water off, move it around, so that I can remove all these hard edges, keeping the whites in the middle. Here too. There as well. Perfect. You guys see that yet? We're still working really light. Okay, now the back side here has also got a darker red to it. So I'm going to add some blue here, over here, so behind the stamen in the middle, which is good because it'll give it a little contrast. And also in here. All right, so that looks pretty good as a beginning. Now, the only thing I do want to do is come in with a pretty clean brush and just pull some of this out to soften that as it comes off. Comes out from the center, and also soften this and this. Okay, so I want a little bit of splotchy here. I want to kind of have that watercolor look to it. Now the green. Now, what would be a complementary color for the green, or what's the color we see coming through? I could use red, but that would make it really green. And I could also use yellow. There's a lot of yellow in this green, so I think that would be a good undertone. I'm still using my big fat brush, a piece of paper, a towel over here, and I just keep blotting it off. I think I'm going to go with lemon yellow right now, just to see. how that goes. It's also going to mix a little bit of my blue over here on my little palette. So I've got that. And then let's tap in a few of these bits. Now remember, whenever you put yellow down, you can't get the pencil up afterwards. So you might want to make sure that wherever that pencil is, you are happy. Take a few shots here so that I have something for Patreon. So if you guys want to see the snapshots of where it is in the stills, you can go back and look at that. Now I'm going to add the pinks. So I think we're going to go with quinacridone magenta or 930 pink. These are both schminky colors. This one seems really bright. I'm going to make a really light consistency. Put a little bit of water on my brush. And let's work from the back. Let's just tap it on there and here. Now this is loose, right? We're going for loose and quick, so theoretically this whole tutorial won't take very long. Also, make sure you paint in the direction of form, so if it's going that way, paint it that way. And do the same over here, so I can kind of drop the color in everywhere at once. I'm just dropping it in and pushing it a little bit as it goes to get it to meet with what's at the top. Again, just drop it in, little dabs. And we're also going to do way over here. Okay, now while this is still wet, let's take a second to look at it, decide what I want. Perfect. I'm going to take out that little bit right here. And I'm going to come back with a little more, just deepen it in, darken it in, make it a little more rich. So that's where I'm after. I want these bleeding marks. Then we'll drop in the color right on top of the blue. So in case I forgot to mention this earlier, this is magenta pink, which is a really bright pink. It's from Schminky and it's relatively light fast, so I would take this piece and make prints with it, put it online, other such things, but I wouldn't leave it directly in the sun on a wall because some of the pinks or the really bright fuchsia kind of colors, some of the purples have a really hard time lasting if they're left in the sun. So while it looks like I'm putting a lot of detail in here now, and later I'm going to come back and pretty much cover this all up, but the way in which you layer your initial piece is really important. So when I'm putting down that first layer, even though there's a lot of detail that might be lost later, a lot of that is going to build up and become part of the makeup of the actual piece. So it's kind of like it's stuck in the stained glass, and the light is going to come in and reflect against it, and it's going to be really, really beautiful. I want to continue with the same yellow I was already using. Even though it's not perfect, I'm going to do it anyway. Just going to dab on some of that yellow. And I want to add a little bit of a dark color. There's a little dot in each one of these yellow dots, which does define it a little better. Okay, so while I take a moment here to paint the pistils at the top of the stamen, and later I'll go back and do a little more work on the pollen parts of the stamen. And actually at the end here I'm going to be painting a little bit of red onto the bottom of the piston here as well. Sorry, the bottom of the stamen. I want to take a moment and talk to you about the mallow family. Now, the mallow family includes plants like the rose mallow, the hibiscus, and the hollyhock. For the most part, the mallow family is edible. In that they're not toxic, they're not a bane plant, they're not going to poison you. They're not exactly the yummiest plants. The leaves tend to be a little bit like aloe vera, although very, very thin, so there's not a lot of stuff in there, but they have a gooey form to them. So if you were out in the woods all by yourself and had absolutely no medical, you know, the world has collapsed and there's no way to get a doctor, in other words, you could, if you wanted to, at your own risk, you could take the mallow leaf and rub it onto a burn, or if you have a bad rash you want to get rid of. This is something that traditionally was used to relieve these problems. There are some internal uses as well, but I won't get into that on a YouTube video because I don't want to give anybody any ideas. But I will say, if you are interested in taking your health into your own hands, the mallow is a really good plant to look up and do your own studies. It has a lot of great purposes. I like to use it for a cold. I like to use it to soothe my throat, and I definitely put it into teas. I put the rose petals into my own teas in order to give it a beautiful dark color. All right. Now I'm going to come back again with one of my just boring brushes, and I think I'm going to add more green. So we've got some May green here. I'm going to mix it with some of this blue, some of this blue, and I'm going to have to turn this a little bit. Okay, and then under here, some of this is darker. And again, we're just doing this really lightly. So I'm just quickly going to finish the stem here. I used the two colors, the May green and a little bit of lemon yellow down there. And now I'm going to go with my final pass. So as it is, I think the flower's already really beautiful, but adding a little more pink to it is just going to make it pop just that little more. I am going to cover up my whites. I am going to paint over top of them, and I get a lot of questions about that. People say, why do you go to so much trouble to put so much detail in the beginning when you then paint on it anyway? And the thing is, every time, and I've said this before, every time I paint on top of things that have already been painted on, I'm kind of locking those details into the layers below. So even though they're gone, you can still see them. They're not quite gone. They just look gone right now. Once the piece dries, it'll come out again. And here behind the stamen is, I'm going to wet that down, blend it away so that it all blends in so it's deeper in the core. Okay, and lastly, let's just add a little tiny detail, some dots and squiggles and lines around the edge to kind of give it like a jeweled look. And date it, 2019. Oh, that's pretty good. I like that. So, there's a little bit of warping in my page, but as it sits, I'll put it under a book and it'll be all good in no time. And if I wanted to, I could take an eraser and remove some of the pencil lines, but I really don't want to. I think they're just fine. I think overall it's really pretty. I would possibly come back and reapply some paint on this side to make this a little darker and to give it more distance. But I do feel that as it is, it makes sense. So If I make any more changes, I'll put the final piece at the end of the video for you. Otherwise, this is what it looks like. Thanks for watching. I'm Scarlett, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Toodaloo, guys!